Areas which can be affected dramatically by strikes like this, particularly if public sector works are involved, is in our schools. Steve Mabona is the spokesperson for the Gauteng Education Department. Steve, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Good afternoon to you. I do appreciate the time. What happened in Gauteng schools today?
Good afternoon, Stephen, and all our viewers. We were affected, though there were no school disruptions, but to a certain extent, learners probably were skeptical. We experienced a low learner attendance in most of our schools. And we also understand that after 10 o'clock, some of the educators then decided to leave some of our schools. They will have to understand that if you must decide whether you want to be at work or you want to go to strike. If you go to strike and you know that it's no work, no pay. So we will be making follow-ups and make sure that those that left around 10, then the process will then unfold.
For a lot of people, the school day starts actually with the people who take them to school, the school's transporters. These are contracts that are paid for by the Gauteng Education Department. People use minibuses to take children to school. Was that system working today?
It was. I mean, the transportation there was no problem. I think that's why I said probably learners were skeptical, or maybe they were not sure on how things will pan out. Because when you talk about a shutdown, people are scared. You know that some of these shutdowns, they don't pan out very well. There's a lot of violence that is perpetuated. So people were skeptical to a certain extent that we actually witnessed late coming, because some were then informed that, no, you can come to school, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I visited a school in Soweto where learners, some of them, they arrived at 9, some around 9:30 they were arriving, because it's grade 12s that they need a classroom. You know that next week we're starting with our prelims, and we don't have time. We're in a precarious position now as the department. We need the teaching time as much as possible.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask specifically around grade 12s. They lost a huge amount during the pandemic because they were at school during all of that time. So then what happens to them? Some of them may have lost some hours today. It may not matter much, but for some it will matter.
No, the good thing is that in majority of our schools, grade 12 learners were in the classroom. They were being taught. Some they are preoccupied by preparations for the prelims. So a majority of our schools, grade 12s, were there. And we are quite comforted. The only problem was lower grades, where you would see that the attendance was really not good. But they were hopeful that moving forward we will then have the catch-up programs, because that's what we normally do. But the grade 12s, we continue to support them, including weekends. And we have a way of augmenting what they have in the classroom with a remote studio where we have educators that are beaming their lessons. We connect with those smart boards that we have we float about in our townships. So we try by all means to make sure that we catch up. This is the last push that we are focusing in the grade 12. So we can't really afford any disruption. That's why I will call upon members of the community. Any opportunity that prevails that they want to march or disrupt, they must be with us and work with us as the department, not disrupt schooling.
When you have teachers who then start the school day and then leave halfway through, which I'm sure is the worst thing, you'd prefer they didn't arrive or they'll tell you the day before. But anyway, what happens to the children in their classes? Do the principals and deputy principals have to take the classes?
Well, the good thing we have, teacher assistants now in our space. They come a long way and they will assist us to make sure that learners are managed. But educators, they will tell you they have their labor rights, which we need to respect. So the principals have a discretion, after an assessment and making sure that whether they will be in a position to manage. If they can't, they interact with the district, and the HOD will then probably give them a permission to release those learners that are there. So some of the schools, they were calling to say the number of learners is too low. Probably after they had their meals, they will then probably request that we release them, because then you don't want learners unattended. Sure. They must be attended to. So depending on the school, they will then be released.
And for teachers, it's no work, no pay, right?
For teachers, it's no work, no pay. I mean, like as I've indicated, that those that left at 10, we treat them as absent.
Steve Mabona, thanks very much indeed. Spokesperson for the Gauteng Education Department. Well, in a